Citizens Trust Bank. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate very much you having me out to your show here. And I've been looking forward to it for quite a while to get the invite. So I thank you very much for having me come on out.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you. Again, Jim works for Citizens Trust Bank, and I'm not going to steal any of his thunder, but I'm going to allow him to speak about himself and then tell everybody about Citizens Trust Bank. So, Jim, just introduce yourself and tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you. Two of my favorite topics, myself and my bank. So,
Spoken like a true banker.
Absolutely. About myself, I actually started in banking on the retail side back in 1999. Came up through the branch networks, was a manager for a standalone branch of one of the mega banks, and also ran one of their in-store locations in the Kroger Kroger grocery stores, I should say. So I did that for a while, and knew that I wanted to get involved in business side of banking. Really wanted to have an impact on helping folks create jobs and kind of give back in that manner. So I made the switch from retail over to business banking.
Okay.
Went from one bank to another bank. Finally was able to go to a community bank, and really started being an effective banker when I went to community banking. And one of the things that you're probably have heard, and listeners hopefully have heard, is that there can be a flow of bankers from very large banks to community banks. You really don't see it happen as much in the other direction. Once you get the bug of community banking and can actually really tangibly see what you're doing happening in the community, that becomes your reason for working.
Yeah.
And so that definitely happened to me. And unfortunately, through downsizing at my first community bank, I was let go, but I was picked up by Citizens Trust Bank. And I won't just say that it was a great decision by Citizens Trust Bank, but it was great for myself to join the team at CTB. Community banking has allowed me to become a full total banker, not a cashier of a transaction,
Okay.
but actually a relationship builder. I've learned everything from sourcing clients and their needs to maintaining that relationship, in some cases working out the relationship,
Okay.
to be in Citizens Trust Bank in the headquarters building. I am very much in touch with the executives every day. I don't know of any other banking situation where the bank president will walk down the hall every day and stick her head in the office and know my wife's name, know my kid's name, know what they're involved in, ask me what I'm working on, what she can do to help. All the executives do that. All of the senior management does that. And you just don't get that at a mega bank. So you're really connected into the family of Citizens Trust Bank when you work there. One of the things that drew me to the bank when they called and said, hey, we'd like to have you come down and talk to us, was the longevity of the associates. And it was not uncommon to see someone who worked there for 20, 25, 30 years. That's sort of how I evolved from retail side through business, through transactions, to actually being a complete banker.
Well, that's awesome, and one of the reasons I told you I always admire you is I started out at the mega banks that you talk about, and when I started out in banking, I loved it because it was a relationship. And the bank that I started out with, I won't say the name, but it rhymes with Trace. It was a relationship bank. Now you had to have a certain amount of money to get in, but once you did, we were able to help you with everything. We built a relationship and we developed a client. And one of the things that bothered me when the banking started going retail, we were more about getting free checking accounts than we were developing a relationship with someone. So that's why I gravitated towards you the way I did, because to have that at Citizens Trust, I think you guys are still doing great there. So that is awesome. So again, tell everybody a little bit about Citizens Trust Bank.
Absolutely, I'd love to. Another reason that I was drawn to the bank was the history of the bank. And when I look back at what the country was like and what was happening way back in the early 1900s, it really is amazing what was able to be done that became Citizens Trust Bank. And we started in 1921. Heman Perry got 4 of his buddies together, and we affectionately call them the Fervent Five, and decided that they wanted to start a bank on Auburn Ave, south side of Atlanta, as you know, and be able to provide banking and financial services to the African American community that was out of their reach at that time. Okay?
Okay.
So the bank got started, and in 1934, Citizens Trust was the first African American bank to actually be FDIC insured. We were also the first African American bank to join the Federal Reserve System, and that occurred in 1948.
Wow.
In the 1950s, I think we really hit our stride when we focused on community housing lending. And Citizens Trust Bank helped with the financing for Hunter Road, Mosley Park, Morris Brown, Bankhead, Hightower communities. All of those benefited from having Citizens Trust Bank here in Atlanta, providing the financing that wasn't being offered to make those communities develop. Also in the 1950s, we went away from having just our location at Auburn Avenue, opened up our very first branch. We call them banking centers, otherwise known as branches on West Side. That branch is still operating, so it's been around since then. It's on MLK Junior Drive.
Okay.
And then we branched out to all the locations that we currently have.
How many current locations do you guys have now?
Gosh, we have got Piedmont Ave, 75 Piedmont Ave. We have 3705 Cascade Road is another location that's very popular. 2840 East Point in East Point, Georgia. 3065 Stone Mountain in Lithonia, as well as 2727 Panola in Lithonia.
Okay.
So we've got Lithonia covered up there pretty good. We also have 5771 Rockbridge and Stone Mountain, and then the west side one on MLK that I've already mentioned. So that's,
Okay.
about 7 or 8 there. I also want to give a shout out to my personal favorite branch located at 3172 Macon Road in Columbus. I cover the Columbus market for the commercial banking side. So we have a fantastic team down in Columbus. We also have 1700 3rd Ave North in Birmingham and 213 Main Street in Utah, Alabama. So we cover both Georgia and Alabama.
Okay.
And the Alabama division's run by Jason Eppinger. Sort of new to the bank, less than a year. Great wealth of knowledge, perfect choice to be running the Alabama market. He's doing a great job for us. So those are kind of locations we have that we've been opening since the 1950s. In the 60s, we built that branch at 75 Piedmont. If you ever go down the downtown connector or wrap around to the south side of Atlanta, heading southbound, look to your right, and you're going to see the rectangular buildings, the Citizens Trust Bank on it. We're no longer at that location, but we did build that building, sold it to Georgia State. We're currently up at 230 Peachtree, right in the heart of downtown Atlanta,
Yeah.
up on the 27th floor. So that occurred last year. We've been there just 1 year
Just
now.
1 year, okay.
Yep.
Beautiful office too, I've been down
Yep.
there, so, and I like the friendliness, like, it doesn't feel like you're walking into an office where all the execs, like, when I came to meet you, so, I love it.
Well, thank you. We're awful proud of the space. So we were often also named Bank of the Year by Black Enterprise Magazine in 1985. So
Okay.
we're proud of that accomplishment. I talked about the in-store location at the Mega Bank in Kroger that I used to work at. Well, that wasn't their original idea, because in 1992 we actually had locations, in-store locations in Cub Foods groceries.
Okay.
So I'd like to point out that Citizens Trust Bank was on the leading edge of doing the in-stores.
That's gotta be, if you're from Atlanta originally, Cubs food has gotta be something that only you know about.
That's right. 98, we merged with First Southern, went public in 99 and 2000. We purchased deposits and assets of Mutual Federal Savings in 03. We acquired Citizens Federal Savings in Birmingham. In 03, we hit the 400 million mark in assets, and so we're proud of that. We're a little bit above that right now. And then in 2012, our current president, Ms. Cynthia Day, assumed the reins of the bank, and she's been at the helm there now going on 5 years. But I do need to point out the most important milestone in CTB's history and that was hiring me in 2011. So, things have been
Modest
on
much?
high speed since that day.
That's spoken like a true banker, you know, that bank wasn't gonna make it until they hired you, huh?
Absolutely, I
See-
gotta say, things have been just great since then.
Yeah.
You know I'm gonna pay for that tomorrow when I get to work,
I'm
right?
sure. They've been around since 1920, but they hit their stride when they got you on. Well, that is definitely awesome, because basically, to the listeners and everybody saying that, what he is saying is that to be a African American owned bank around since 1920, that is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about a bank up north. We're
Correct.
talking a black owned bank here in the South.
In the heart of the South in
In
Atlanta, Georgia,
1920,
absolutely.
so
Right.
that is a feat in its own. So, as Jim had said, he focuses and specializes with business clients.
Mhm.
So what is your exact title? I don't want to mess it up.
First Vice President, Senior Commercial Relationship Manager.
Basically, what that means is he makes a lot of money. No, but but basically, you're a relationship manager for all your business owners, correct?
Absolutely, that is correct. And our shop here in Atlanta is run by Farron Logan. And naturally, I'm gonna bring him up and tell you that I've been doing this job now for 18 years, going on my 18th year.
Okay.
And I have never had a leader as good as Farron Logan. The team he's put together, and what we're able to accomplish under his leadership is really quite something. Now, in the mega banks, I've been in shops where we've had up to 15, 17 lenders in one shop. And in this shop, we've got Farron and Eric Wilson, Travis Platts, Charnel Reynolds. We have a trainee, Monica Williams, who's becoming a junior lender with us and going through the program. She's being trained by me, so she's gonna be top notch, okay? And in
You're
Birmingham.
gonna get it tomorrow when you get to work.
Oh,
I promise you.
absolutely, absolutely. And then, as I stated, in Alabama, we have Jason Eppinger, so that's our team of lenders. And why I love working in that shop is that we are all collaborative with each other. We are not competitive with each other. And when I get a deal and I need to structure it correctly for the borrower and for the bank so that it's working for both of us, I can turn to any of those folks and ask for their input. What's worked for you? What have you done in this industry? What's your knowledge of this area or market? And they'll be right there to help fill in the gaps. And our discussions can be heated and spirited at times, but it's always with an eye on doing what's best for our client and what's best for our bank, and how do we get this deal done. And that group of folks is backed up with some really excellent underwriters in our shop, headed up by Jamal Bell, and we have Joanna Lazavian in our shop. These are very knowledgeable underwriters. They know what's gonna make it through our loan committees, what's gonna be approved, and how best to handle that. They don't look at a deal and just say no. If it's something that can't be done, they find a way of, we can do this, or let's add this credit enhancement, or let's use this outside credit enhancement to help us make this more likely to be approved. So, and that's something that's different from the mega banks, you know.
Totally.
A lot of times in my previous jobs, things were just credit scored. And, you punch the data in, and that computer's gonna tell you yes or no, and that's it, okay? Most of the times, the information had to be sent to Charlotte, or Sacramento, California, or Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
And someone who has never met the client, never sat across, the table,
It's just looking at paper.
never met the lender, never met their fellow associate, is making the decision and moving on. Because the volume, they just got a credit score and just move.
It's a criteria that, they have, if this, and this is lined up,
Right.
then they decline or move on with no explanation, just decline.
Yep, absolutely. And backing up the underwriters is our loan administration department. We have some wonderful folks in that department that they are part of the team to make sure that everything flows smoothly. So, I didn't experience that at the other community bank. I most certainly never experienced it at the mega banks. To have all of us folks together on that 27th floor in downtown Atlanta, working as a team to make it smooth for our client is unbeatable. And I haven't experienced that anywhere but Citizens Trust Bank.
And I'll agree with that, because when I worked at the bank that I worked at, it really was, I didn't focus on loans, and the reason why I was is because I knew there was a 90% chance when I took that application I was pretty much wasting my time, especially for small business owners.
Right.
The criteria was so high, and it messed with my customer service, because I knew I wasn't doing you a benefit by taking that application. I focused primarily on investments, obviously, but there were people in my branch, like we had a business banker that would come in and he would tell me, well, I'm not gonna talk to them because they gotta have this, 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 and this. And I always said that I partnered with smaller banks around me, because I would tell my small business owners, look, if you need a business loan, you might wanna go here, we're not the place. And they said, well, aren't you a bank? I'm like, yeah, but we're not the place. So I'm happy that you kinda went that way, because that segues to what I'm talking about, because I know a lot of our listeners are thinking, I'm a small business owner. I may be in business anywhere between 6 months and 2 years, and they're worried about credit. But I'm making money and things of that nature. I shouldn't even be talking to a bank. That person should talk to you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I meet folks who are just starting out to do a business, or they have an idea, or they're buying a business, maybe they want to branch into a new industry, business-wise, I make sure to consult with them and give them the advice of, there are 3 people that you have to have on your team, every business owner, from day one. You need to have a banker, you need to have a CPA, and you need to have an attorney.
I'm gonna need you to do me one favor, please, Jim, because I talked to all my clients about this, and I don't want them to think that I put you up to this, because all my interviews, I like to be conversational. He had no idea what I was gonna ask him. Please say that again. The 3 most important people in a business owner's life are...
Banker, CPA, attorney.
Now, the only reason he put banker first is because he's a banker.
Absolutely, most important of the 3.
Most important of the 3, but you need to have those 3 people in your life as a business owner. And most people say, I can't afford them. You cannot afford not to have them.
Absolutely, and Sean, that's the response I give them. You can't afford not to have them, okay? The attorney is gonna make sure that you're protected, that what you're presenting as your business and what you're doing with your business, that you're protected. They can help you with your incorporation, with your articles of organization. They can help you with everything, the paperwork, all that, to make sure that you're starting out on the correct foot. Your CPA is vitally important to me as a banker. They're gonna make sure that your numbers are in line, that they're in a format that is going to be, make sense to your bank, that your taxes are correct, that you don't get hit with penalties and fines. They're gonna give you advice on when you're ready for capital influx, getting some cash in there, and they're gonna work closely with your banker and your attorney. And then your banker, naturally, I'm gonna be, I wanna be to my clients the consultant that you come to when you wanna make any sort of a decision. You're gonna get my input and your CPA's input and your attorney's input, and between the 3 of us, we're gonna make sure that you're going down the correct path.
Well, that is definitely awesome. And I'm gonna, because we're about to take our first break, but I just wanted to say this, as a financial lifestyle planner, the reason I partner with Jim is that I tell my clients, I'm your trusted advisor. And the reason he's also your trusted advisor as a banker. And it's never competitive. He's like, I don't worry when I send a client over that he's gonna cut me out or whatever the case may be, because he understands that I'm also the advisor as well. So when we come back, Jim, let's talk a little bit about the loan process and some of the things that you're looking for. Is that good?
Absolutely.
Awesome, folks. I hope you guys are enjoying this, because I am getting a lot out of this. You are listening to Getting Down to Business with your financial lifestyle planner, Sean Bailey, on 108 Praise Radio, Voice in the Gospel. We'll be right back.